What's up? My name is Casey. This is the Oracle Podcast, and today we have the mother of books, the queen of dragons. She is the breaker of chains, I don't know, I've run out of titles.
Running out of titles.
We're here.
We're here.
We
That's
are
what's
here.
important.
Exactly. We're here with the first episode of House of the Dragon, Season 3. We're fighting dragons, we're having battles, we're smooching our moms, we're doing all sorts of stuff. Some of it was good, some of it was bad. We're going to talk about all of it. We are also ranking our top 5 favorite battles in fantasy / sci-fi at the end of this episode. So stick around for that at the end of the episode. But first of all, Anna, how are you?
I am well. How are you?
I am also well. How was your week?
It was good. I took the kids to see some sea turtles today. I feel like it was like magical and also free. So like that's always fun.
Hey,
And we like
both of those things.
got to do some conservation work. I thought it was really cool for them.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's so cool. What was going on with my week? I'm moving. That's why I'm recording in my I'm in my bedroom, a little peek behind the curtain, and so I'm moving. So like my house is all boxed up. So I am hanging out here. But a side note, this is the last week that I will be recording without. I have like a little recording studio set up in my new house that I bought. So I am going to be much better set up for recording a podcast. And like I actually have like a nice like background and stuff that I have set up in there, like with all my posters and then some cool fantasy stuff. So that's going to be very fun, and all my books will be in the background. I'm so excited.
I love when people have that all set up all nice and pretty.
Yeah,
My bookshelf is
I'm
not
so
organized at all.
Get it all set up, and my new house is like 3 minutes from. I think I mapped it out. It's like 3 minutes from bookshop, so that's going to be very dangerous for my wallet, especially because I just bought a house. But it's fine.
So you buy a house for more
To fill with
books.
Exactly. So the office has like built-in bookshelves that came with it, and it's super cool. It's really nice. I'm very excited to fill those with lots of books.
Maybe like a good real estate strategy, like, oh, you're a book lover. Let me show you these buildings.
I like books. Yeah, I see. Well, let me show you all of these books. It's going to be a big seller at some point. All right. Well, speaking of houses, the House of the Dragon is fractured in twain, and we're going to talk about it. So, Anna, you said that you had some notes and some thoughts. Why don't you go ahead and start off with some of your thoughts, or do we want to start off with going through and doing a brief kind of synopsis of?
I don't want to do a spoiler. So if you want to give us the recap, I will say we can start off on a high note of I don't remember what the opening was. I think I always skipped it, but I did take the time to watch this opening. I absolutely love it. I really like the original, like Game of Thrones opening.
Yeah.
Like it always fascinated me. I would watch it every single time. I feel like if you skipped it, there was something wrong. Like, why would you do that? But like this, I liked the embroidery thread. Yes.
Yeah.
I've been digging the vibe of like thread again, Wheel of Time. I'm still on that shtick, but it's like I love how, it comes up in so many places.
Well,
this idea of weaving.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. This idea of like, weaving and everybody's like stories being intertwined, and then like I like a visual parallel, I'm basic, I know.
I like a visual parallel as well. And this opening is so thematic too, because it is like we're witnessing living history when we are watching this show, and not only the characters themselves, but everything going around them, and the tapestry being embroidered as we watch it is expressing the nature that this is history that we are watching. We are watching this dynastic thing fold. And the map like organization of the Game of Thrones intro was great, because it was this globe spanning show. And really, if you boil it down a little bit, there are 3 locations in this story, basically. There is Harrenhal, there is the Red Keep, or King's Landing.
The King's Landing, and then Dragonstone.
Yeah, and like we visit some other places, but those are the main 3 places where basically everything takes place in this whole series. So it's a lot easier to keep track of those 3 places.
Yeah, right. It's because I like you hear about other places from like what is it called, Westeros? You hear about other places, but like not as nearly as in depth as. But I still feel like there's a lot of moving parts. Like he still did a good job at keeping me very confused a lot.
Yes. So we start off with that awesome intro. It included everything from the last season, plus a few new items that they added on. So that's awesome. And then we are dropped right back into the Reyna storyline of her claiming sheep stealer. So she
He's
goes
so
in
cute
and
with his little
he
underbite, overbite.
I think it's underbite, and she is able to claim him, and she is able to ride off on him, but he's a wild dragon, so it's a lot harder for her to control him because he hasn't been trained, he hasn't taken orders from anyone in a long time. Even in the
He has
beginning,
no
there's
allegiances to any of the families or anything.
yeah. And so she climbs on him and goes for a ride. Then we cut to the Red Keep, and the Grand Maester is awoken from his bed by Aemond. And he is dragged out into the courtyard and held at sword point. And that is not only just some sword, that is Blackfire that Aemond is wearing. And that is the sword of the Conqueror himself. That is the sword of the first king of Westeros. And that is a symbol that Aemond is claiming the throne for himself. And Aemond is accusing the Maester of smuggling Aegon out of the castle because Aegon is gone and he is just barely saved by what's his name, the Master of Laws, Ironrod.
The Harrenhal one, right? Oh no,
No,
you're right. The other one. I know.
yeah,
I
the
mixed them
other
up.
one.
Sorry.
No, that's okay. I can't remember his name at the moment, but yeah, the Maester is just barely saved. And then we cut to Laris and Aegon riding along in a cart, and they get pulled over by basically forces of the blacks. And through this whole confrontation, Laris basically gives up Aegon, and it's a little bit it's cool
Wow.
because yeah, it's well, and this whole thing is kind of
It's
interesting
calculated for
because
sure.
it's so calculated, and it's left ambiguous as to whether he is actually like switching sides and betraying him, or whether he's just like, yeah, this is the only way that I can keep Aegon alive, so I'm going to do whatever I have to do. And
All of this in spite of Allison's overarching plans, by the way.
yes, exactly. And yeah, he left the Red Keep without Alicent's knowing or anything like that. So he is definitely an actor of his own will. And Aegon refuses to kneel for Rhaenyra, partly because of his pride and his arrogance, but also partly because like he broke both of his legs in the when he got burned on his dragon. So it would
He kind
probably
of
be
can't.
physically hard for him to kneel on the ground. The next and another part that I wanted to mention here is the Blacks, Rhaenyra's team, have been seen a lot as the good guys in this series. They are like it's been a lot more coded to where they seem like the protagonists of the show at the very least. And I think that it is good that we see some of their soldiers being cutthroat and merciless towards like the drivers. They just kill the drivers of this cart and without really any provocation. So it is good to see that there are bad people on both sides of this war,
Oh,
and people
yes,
will
the
use
system, the war machine, if you will, has two drivers, one on each side.
exactly. Yeah, it's not just the Greens doing the nonsense. So after Aegon and Laris are taken prisoner, we cut to Rhaenyra on Dragonstone, and she is kind of debating with Mazaria or no, she's debating with Jace the merits of Alicent's visit, because if you'll remember at the end of last season, Alicent did a reverse Rhaenyra in the middle of the season, and she snuck into Dragonstone and came and hung out and said, "Hey, if you come and you take King's Landing, I will open the doors to you. I will make it so that you can just fly your dragons right in and make it so that no one can oppose you." And her council and her son are both like, "So you're just gonna listen when she told you that this was going on?" Like, and you can see in Rhaenyra's eyes, she's had a lot of things go her way recently. She
Oh, it's
had
like
all of the
like the mania.
yeah,
Like she looks crazy.
you can start to see that she might be on the other side of that coin that flips
That man,
around.
she's in like a manic episode. It's the best thing that I could describe it as. Like, if you, I
Yeah.
don't know if you've ever seen that, but this was the beginning of all of my, oh, don't do that, don't do that. But you know what? This is also, I liked the fact that it really does show that I think Allison was genuine in her extension of like wanting a truce because she is like so caught off guard when she arrives back and she finds out that not only is uh, Aegon gone, but Aemond is now on the throne. So it's like all of her plans are now like out the window. And like you can just see that like I can't quite tell yet if she's upset that like some scheme that we don't know about yet is getting like destroyed, or like if she's really truly upset about this potential truce that she was trying to make is now being destroyed because she was basically gonna offer him up as a trade for her and Helena and the
Yeah.
children.
Yeah. I think that it's really interesting that she is so upset by this because she was like the fact that she is offering this Allison, that being said, is offering up this trade is basically condemning not only Aegon but Aemon to death. And so the fact that she is so upset, like she should be an emotional wreck about this whole situation. And the fact that Aegon is gone and Aemon is still there and at the Red Keep is a it's gonna make it look like she betrayed Rhaenyra, because when Rhaenyra comes
Exactly.
to
Just
the
like
Red
what
Keep.
happened previously when Damon kind of stepped in and was like, I'm gonna kill babies. And
Yeah,
he did. And then she was like, how could you do that in my name? It's just like, and then everybody
yeah,
thought, you know, I think that was like the turning of the public image of them, I guess. That was like the first big transgression that the the Reds or the Blacks?
the Blacks.
The Blacks, okay. It's hard because she still uses the black Targaryen seal. Alicent uses
Yeah,
the black Targaryen seal when she's like doing her stuff. So it's like
yeah.
for a second I got confused. See, I'm very easily confused.
I'm also easily confused. And in the books, it's a lot more clear because Rhaenyra's side, the Blacks, they use like it's like a Targaryen, a Valerian, like, and it has two other things, but it is. I think it's like a Royce symbol, or it's like a quadrant symbol, and that is their heraldry. Yeah. And it's much more clear. But after Rhaenyra explains, yeah, we're gonna just waltz over. Allison told me we're just gonna waltz over to King's Landing and take it, and we can behead Aegon and throw his head on the wall, and we can, because Aemon won't be there, we can just waltz right in. We have the most dragons. We can just do whatever we want. So they her council thinks that she's a little crazy for that, but she is on her manic stuff because and I want to emphasize this. I wish that we saw more of this in the last season, because she must think that she's a little like godly because she was able to get peasants to claim dragons. Like, she did this big blood sacrifice to get more dragon riders to her side. It would be hard pressed to blame her for feeling a little bit like a god at this point.
She said she was going to create an army of bastards.
Yeah, yeah, that was one of the sweetest lines from last season. I will raise up
But
an army of bastards.
but you know, I love it because it's like going back to Game of Thrones itself. I feel like Jon Snow and his like identity to being a bastard and all that was like super like I like the parallel again.
Yeah, well, it rings back to that line of "wear it like armor" that Tyrion says in the first book. He says people will always call you a name, and if you let it hurt you, then you're giving them a weapon. But if you claim it as your identity, he claims his identity as Tyrion the Imp, and that ultimately backfires on him. But Jon Snow does a much better job of it, and he claims his identity as a bastard of Winterfell, and he actually, they both ultimately pay the price
Well,
for it.
yes, that's true. I was going to say that is probably one of the more memorable like monologues from the book, and I just very much also love that scene from the show when
Yeah, they
Peter
did a good
Dinklage
job
is very, very
translating
good.
that. Yeah, yeah. But Rhaenyra is definitely wearing it like armor as well. The fact that they're calling her children bastards, well, then we'll raise an army of bastards, and we will come and burn down whatever city you want to fight us in. And she, at this point, does not care. And so we move on. and we go back to Red Keep, and it is Allison returning to the Red Keep, and she walks in, and instantly she's greeted by the King's Guard, and they're like, "Oh yeah, you're the king wants to see you," and she's like, "Oh cool, I'll go and see uh, Aegon in his chambers." And as she's walking, they like turn her and they're like, "No, in the throne." And she's like, Aegon must be feeling better. He must be sitting in the throne." And she walks in, and Aemon is
Saxophones are getting
sitting
louder.
on the throne. The saxophones are in fact getting louder. They do have the right banners in. I'm just noticing they have the right banners behind the throne in that scene, so that's good at least. But
Do they
Aemond is
change
sitting on the
banners for
throne.
Aegon and Aemond?
No, I think that they both use the same banners. I just think that they have the right banners now. Finally, they've got the right banners back there, so that is good at least. And yeah, Aemond is sitting on the throne. He has Blackfire by his side, so another symbol of legitimacy for a king of that. And then we cut over and we see the Valerian blockade, and they are kind of forming up. We see a scene between what's his name, Alan of Hull, and Corlys, and I love Corlys's cabin. It looks awesome. But as we're panning to the ship, we see a figurehead, and it's Rhaenys is the figurehead for Corlys's ship, because he named it after her. And so obviously they took a little bit of time to drip his ship out, and we see that Rhaenys is the figurehead for his ship. So that's really cool, and I really like that.
I
And
didn't realize how massive his ship was until later on in the show when they show you the comparison between the two.
yeah, it's really cool. And you see Alan going around, and he's doing a good job. He's doing all his first mate duties. I love how busy the ship looks. Like, it looks like a ship should. They've got
It was
two
giving me
guys up in
Pirates
the
of the
crow's nest.
Caribbean vibes. I was like, I
It
haven't seen a
really
pirate ship
was.
like this since then.
Yeah. And then we cut. Sorry, I was thinking of a different scene where they're in his cabin, but we cut from there to a battle. And it appears to be a battle between Rivermen and Westermen,
Damon.
and Daemon. Yeah, so Daemon has raised up an army of Rivermen in the Riverlands at Harrenhal, and he has led them against the Lannisters and their host from the Westerlands. And you see Caraxes in the background, and he's making his little noises as he is murdering people. So that's awesome.
He's having fun.
And Damon also has a cool sword. Its name is Dark Sister. So that's a little fun fact there. And then as they are finishing off the army, we see our favorite Muppet, Grover Tully,
There he is.
and he looks absolutely sweet. I love the fact that that their armor looks like scales on a fish. It's just a
Yes.
little detail that I absolutely love, that is pretty consistent for the Tullys and for the Rivermen, so I really like that. And then we see another cool detail that is a cultural difference between the Rivermen and like the Targaryens, and that is that they have to be buried. It is part of their culture that they have
They
to be
go back to
buried.
the mud.
They have to go back to the mud. And this is really fun because this is kind of an ongoing theme in this show, that different cultures have different ways of being buried. So, like the Targaryens, they have a pyre that they're burning. The Valerians, they set their dead out to sea. Like common folk, they just bury them. We see that with the Cargill twins, and then the Rivermen must be returned to the mud. So I think that this is a cool, interesting little tidbit that we get to see here, and we get to see a little bit of wills pushing up against each other. But we also get to see how Daemon has grown and changed in the fact that he accepts that they need to bury the dead. He doesn't just like fly off on Caraxes and burn all the dead. He actually takes heed and takes notice that we should pay respects to these dead, and we should pay respects to the culture of the Riverlands, and we will bury these dead, even though it will take us more time, and it might cost us catching the rest of the Lannister troops. And
But then,
on, but then
through the
my
trees,
yeah, through the trees we see some banners, and at first it's not clear exactly who is coming through the trees, but it is revealed to be Roddy the Ruin. He is Roderick Malister. I want to say Malister, and because he's got these cool cross axe, axe sigil, and he is holding one of the Lannister twins' heads, and you see as the camera pans up that there are Stark banners behind them. These are the Winter Wolves from the North, and he says probably the coolest line of the whole episode: "We've come to die for the
For
Dragon
the Dragon
Queen."
Queen, yes.
So hard. He's so cool. He's my favorite character. I-
No, I
and
swear
again,
I
I
thought
talked
they were
about
the
this.
Starks for a second. They were
No,
from the North, right?
yeah, they are from the North, and this is a little problem that I have with this episode. Actually, is that I get that they want it to be recognizable that they're from the North, but they should not be carrying Stark banners. They should be carrying banners from House Karstark and from House, like, all of the different other houses from the North, because there are so many different houses from the North.
But wouldn't they all have been sworn under House Stark? Because House Stark has always kind of been like the main house in the North. I remember them referencing that. I don't know according to the book, so I'm not sure. But I would assume that if they were marching, then again, I feel like they marched with all of their banners in the other one, so I
in
don't know.
in Game of Thrones, they all have their own banners that they
Yeah.
march under. So I feel like they should have had
Oh,
some
that's why I
other
thought they were
banners under.
Starks, because there's a Stark
Yeah,
banner back there. Okay,
because they all have Stark banners and shields and stuff. So it again, I feel like they should have other banners and stuff. But alas,
definitely.
that's a little detail that doesn't need to bear a huge amount of scrutiny, but it's just a little thing that I feel like makes a difference. And then we cut to Gwaine and Kristen Cole, and they are
Egwene.
Sir Gwaine, and he is absolutely one of my favorite characters. He talks to Kristen about how this scene opens with a young lady like running away from the camp of these soldiers, and she is obviously in hurry because she has likely just been essayed by one of the soldiers in his army. And Gwaine goes up to Kristen and he's like, "Hey, one of your soldiers is doing not good stuff to
Ravaging one
ladies
of the
around here."
village girls.
Yes, and Kristen's just in there, like,
Playing Picasso. I don't know what it is
yeah,
about people who like to kill people in painting, but like they all
well,
just find
he
themselves to be an artiste sometimes.
well, and the other thing is that he is very, like, obsessed with outwards appearance. His outward appearance is very important to him, but he does not
Preening
care about
peacock.
his image as a murderer and as the killer. So, like, his physical appearance is very important, but his image is less important to him. So I think that's an interesting little detail. And they talk about how they were supposed to be joined by Aemond a while ago. He was supposed to meet them at the Antlers, which is a real, like, Westeros location. So I think that's cool. It's just like this tiny little dot on the map. Like, it's not a cool place where anything happens. It's just a little dot on the map, but it's cool that it gets referenced. I really like that. And we also see that Gwaine is disgusted because he has been raised as a man of integrity.
Well,
And
to think like what a knight is supposed to be versus what you find out a knight tends to be. I haven't watched A Knight's Tale, the other Westeros one.
basically a Knight's Tale. It's basically a Knight's Tale
Is it
in
really? Oh, it's such
Westeros.
a good one then. I'm gonna have to watch that
It's
next then.
you're going to love it. It's really good. But we are playing into a lot of the same themes here because it is talking about what a knight is supposed to be, and it is also, once again, in the way that George Martin does such a good job of, is undercutting the expected narrative of what you're expecting to see, because normally the hoity-toity lord would be the one whose morals are corrupt and whose stuff, and it would be the scrappy underdog who comes from nothing who would be the one who is the one who is standing up for morals and values. And here it is expertly flipped on its head, and I just absolutely love that aspect of it.
Well, not to give
And
him too much credit, but I feel like Cole is kind of jaded by the fact that like he thought that he was doing everything he was supposed to do and then got pushed aside. And then he was like, well, forget it. And now he's gained all this power. So instead of like sticking to these original ideals, he has the ability to like you say, kind of just give up his morals and general direction to gain more power, secure power, I guess.
yeah, and he has witnessed himself that it doesn't matter it doesn't matter if I act like a debaucherous goon. No one, how are they would have to beat me in a fight if they were going to detain me and make me force any punishment. And so as long as I'm the strongest guy around, then there is no chance of me being facing any consequences for my actions. And he says, we will all become beasts before our end. And I love that line because it really does show that he does not view himself as a man anymore. He views himself as a beast. And he is going to do that. And Sir Gawain replies, only if we abandon our principles. And that hits right at the heart of Sir Kristen, because he
Yep.
has abandoned his principles. He has left his principles behind from the moment that he in
From the
and there were power dynamics in play, but from the moment that he decided to sleep with
yeah.
Rhaenyra back in
Yep.
season 1, he had abandoned his principles. And again, there are power dynamics at play there, because she is the princess and he is her sworn sword. So there was a little bit
And
of
also,
that
I don't know
there.
what the age dynamic was there either.
He
So
was definitely older than her, but also she's a princess, and but also he can't have, yeah, it's this whole thing. So it was a messy situation, but he still abandoned his principles there. And she was also drunk and a child, so I don't think that
the fact
I
that we
don't think
have
that it
to
was.
we have to say that Damon had slightly more morals in a situation is like appalling to me because like I had to dig a hole to find the bar. It's not even on the ground.
It's not even on the ground, it is buried. And so that's kind of the end of that scene. And then we cut to the 3 dragon
The
riders.
camping trip, I like to
the
call
can
this.
the boys trip.
The boys trip.
The boys are on a boys trip. They're out camping, and it's a weird boys trip because Alf the White is trauma bonding with these other two. He dumps his trauma about being abused by a
That
Catholic
was
priest.
some heavy stuff, and they're both just like, which honestly, I feel like maybe that's done to like highlight how like it's not taken seriously when men talk about it because it's like
Mhm.
so like he's being like really in the moment about it, and the other two are like, what the fuck is happening? Like,
What is going on here?
help.
Well, and a little bit of cool information there that ties back to Game of Thrones a little bit is he says that it was a red priest who took
Yes,
advantage of him.
yes. Which
And I I
mm,
thought that is, yeah, it's this whole thing. It's a he's a priest of R'hllor,
from
and
Essos. So
from Essos, yeah. And that is very similar to another one of our favorite weird little guys in Game of Thrones, Varys.
Varys, I
Varys
loved him
Varys in the
in the
books.
TV show. In the books, not so much.
Yeah, he's pulling more shenanigans in the books, and he has plots within plots. And one of the prevailing theories about him in the books is that he is, and I don't know if you do a lot of theories and stuff, so potential possible spoilers for the other books if they ever come out. But one of the big theories is that he is a Blackfire, and that is why the Red Priest wanted his manhood, as it were.
Mm,
And because he would in that case he would have king's blood, because the Blackfires are this cadet branch of the Targaryen house who have led rebellions against them. And you've read all the Game of Thrones books that are out,
yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah. I just feel like if
Yeah.
that were true, Melisandre would have just gotten to him instead of searching through stables for what's his face, Baratheon's bastard.
I
I
I
feel like
think
he
it's
would
a
have just
lot
been
harder.
easier to locate.
No,
Varys
no,
was
I
right
think
there. Oh, well, you're
I
right, because Varys was in with
he's
using
slippery and
King's Landing.
slidey, and yeah, he's gonna be harder to get a hold of now. He's
Maybe.
accumulated he accumulates wealth, he accumulates power, but still in our hour of need. Sorry,
Right,
Hamilton.
I would feel like there would be a reason that I would hope that George would give such emphasis to like this whole Red
Yeah,
Witch, Essos, and this need for King's blood.
yeah,
I would hope.
but really quick, let me finish that theory. The other theory in that is
Ooh,
that young Griff, the one who they are saying is Targaryen, who when Tyrion is riding around on the boat with them in Essos,
okay.
in a dance with dragons, right?
Yes.
And they're riding around the boat and stuff, and they say that they are going to raise young Griff up as the Targaryen, because they claim that he is the other son, like he is.
But then doesn't he like get barbecued?
No,
Who gets barbecued? One of the prince that is not the prince that is like the secret one that they're smuggling around goes down into the dungeon and tries to bond with the dragon, and the dragon was like "F you" and like torches him. Who was
That
that?
that that is some other guy, but that's
It was
with
supposed to be
Danny,
like Daenerys's. It was supposed to be like Daenerys's like
cousin or something like that.
yes,
But
something.
different guy.
Oh my God,
The
okay.
this is young Griff who I'm talking about. They are claiming that he is the son of or that he's
How
Rhaenyra's
do I not
brother or
remember
his
who this is?
cousin or not Rhaenyra, Daenerys. They're claiming that he is like Daenerys' brother or his cousin. I can't remember. I would have to go back and look through it. But the prevailing theory is that he is not actually a Targaryen, but he is a Blackfire, and that he is the Mummer's dragon because Varys used to be a mummer. He used to be like put on plays and stuff. So he would be the Mummer's dragon and the false dragon who Daenerys is supposed to reveal. So that's one of the prevailing theories.
Man, I could have sworn this was the same person I was thinking of. Oh well, need to
Well,
read those books again. It's been a long time.
it's I just did a reread of it this last year, which is why it's the only reason why it's so fresh in my brain.
I'm now realizing how long ago it's been, and I'm very sad by the passage of time.
The time steals years from us all.
Literally,
So,
crazy.
so
Okay,
yeah. So the boys are on their camping trip. Back from our little diversion about
sorry.
no, I went off on the tangent in that case. And the boys, they see a green man in
Yeah,
there. Yeah,
little weird
so
things popping up.
that's a whole thing in the books. Again, I could go on about this for an hour. If you want a full lore explanation of this, I highly recommend you go and watch Alt Swift X's video or like Glidus's video on YouTube. They do a really good job explaining and going. They go way further into detail and depth about the lore and stuff about this. I don't have the time. I simply don't have the time to cover all the lore about this. But basically, the children of the forest, the little green dudes who are hanging out with
Okay, so
Butter
it
in his
was the
cave,
children of the forest. Okay.
they made
I
a pact with
suspected, but I
the
wasn't sure.
yeah so they made a pact with men back when the first men were the only ones in Westeros, and these cloven hooved little fellows are the result of that pact. And people believe that it might be blood magic, that it might be have been like an orgy, whatever. It might have been a whole thing. They might be like half children in the forest, half humans. We then briefly cut back to Rhaena after we were on the camping trip with the boys, and Sheep Stealers brought her a
Now it's the
snack,
camping trip
like
with,
he's a
yes, she's
cat.
better like a baby bird. Oh yeah, I guess like a cat. I don't know. I don't have a cat. Never brought me gifts,
I
but like,
I don't have a cat either, but we have cats at work and they bring me gifts all the time, and I, unlike Reyna, do not eat them because
I thought it was very nice that she decided to, or he, Sheep Stealer, decided to like cook it for her. I was
yeah,
like,
it was
very
very
nice,
nice.
very
It was
kind.
very nice. And we see a little bit here that Sheep Stealer does not care about what she says.
She's like,
He
you
is
can't tell me what
disobeying
to do.
orders
You're not my
here
mom.
already. So we see a little bit of that, and then we cut back to the Red Keep, and we are on the worst part of the episode. Hot dog. Oh wait, no, we're not there yet.
Not quite.
Alicent is forging a letter to her uncle, to her
Well, her
cousin.
cousin, somebody. It's the Jamie
Cousin.
Lannister of this season,
Yes, she is forging a letter
the
to her
golden
cousin.
boy.
Yeah, Mr. Senior Hightower. I can't remember his name. And her other son is actually his squire. So it's a whole thing. But Helena's like, why are you writing this letter? That she's talking to her, and she seals it with the official like royal seal, making it look like it came from the king. And then someone comes in, and Rhaenyra and Helena almost snitches on her, but then realizes that she's being deceptive, so she goes back to doing her sassy bug routine. Then we cut to Alan of Hull and Corlys, and oh my Atlanta, Corliss's cabin is so dripped out. It looks like it finally looks like he is the guy who has sailed everywhere in the world, which is what he is in the books. He's basically Jack Sparrow and Jeff Bezos put together in the books, and we are I guess I should say Elon Musk, but Jeff Bezos still feels more fitting. And a little fun fact here, they drink whiskey from Ib. And the only other time that we see whiskey from Ib being drank is in the episode where Jon Snow's dragon dies in Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
So there's that. That's a little foreshadowing of what to come. And
Nice
they
little
talk
crossover.
about, and they talk a little bit about how like their situation and how Corlys wants to be better friends with his son because
Let
he's
me
his
be your
son.
daddy. He's like, but you ignored me all these years. But straight up, like the least you could have done was acknowledge them. And he's like, yeah, I'm still not gonna do that.
I'm still not gonna legitimize you guys. You guys are pretty silly. And then the alarm bells start to ring, and they run outside, and it is said
Okay, this was the
that
beginning of my criticism. This was my beginning of the
okay,
criticism for the rest of the show.
let's hear it, Anna. Let's hear it, Anna.
I fear that as the captain of the ship, your ass should have been the first one out that door when the
He should have
bells
been
start.
out of the chair, but well before him.
You, the boss, you should be out there telling people what to do. Like he hasn't even had a chance to like mess up. He literally was just like, I'm gonna like. I was like, you're too calm. You need to move. So that was my first like.
That was Well, and Alan like stands up like he like looks at him and he doesn't get up and he's like, well, I guess then I'll get up. And it is shown that it is Shiraka Aloha and her fleet who have sailed here. That this was part of the last episode, and Tywin Lannister has convinced them to sail and attack the blockade. We see their ships, and we see Tywin all dripped out in his armor. And Shiraka's like, that armor is going to be really heavy if you go in the drink, my lord.
Foreshadowing for sure.
A little foreshadowing there.
Just watching everybody sink like a rock, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah. Oh, it was wild. And Shirako talks a little bit about her plans, and she compliments his strategy because he is a good strategist. And he talks a little bit about how they need to beware of her dragons, and he talks about how I expressly plan to not end up in the drink, which is funny. And then we cut back to we cut back to Reyna for just a minute. That's actually when
that's when she gets her barbecue.
Yeah. And then we cut to the Hightower army. And right from the start, you can basically tell that it's a Hightower army because
everything is green.
Their tents are in immaculate order. They are like not a twig out of place. They have a cute little pop-up area for Tessarion, the Blue Queen, which is Prince Daeron Targaryen's dragon. And I think we see him, it's not confirmed, but the redheaded guy who is standing next to the Hightower guy, whose name I also cannot remember.
They don't say it, I don't think, either.
They don't say it, so it's
they just say my lord.
My lord. But it is implied that he is the son of Alicent because he is his
red
squire
hair.
And he kind of has the red hair like Alicent has. So it's thought that might be. And a little
their hairstyle is actually very similar if you notice it. She's got her hair pulled back. He's got his hair pulled back. I feel like might not be a coincidence. I don't believe George R.R. Martin believes in coincidences either.
No, he does not. A cool thing here, though, is that they do have dragon keepers. So, if you remember last season, the Dragon Keepers left Rhaenyra after she gave the dragons to the dragon seeds. They all left her and they abandoned her. So it's interesting to see that the Hightower army, at the very least, has dragon keepers still. So it probably won't come up, and it will probably never be mentioned by the show. But that is a cool thing to keep in mind. And yeah, I'm fairly certain that is Prince Daeron Targaryen there in the green next to him. So the messenger is really stinky. There's a silly bit about the Hightower guy like sniffing
the
some
perfume.
incense. Yeah. So it's a whole thing. He's funny. He is pretty.
I felt like that kind of lent to like their posterity and need for orderliness.
Yes, I definitely agree. It's definitely in character. And he offers the messenger a bath. And I thought that he was gonna like kill the messenger. That was the vibe that I was getting when I first watched the episode. But I think that it is just the fact that
He just thinks he's so beneath him, like
yeah,
not even
he just thinks
worthy,
so beneath him.
not worth killing even. Just insult
Yeah,
and send away.
and send away. And then we cut back to the Red Keep, and we're having a little bit of mother son time between
That's
Alicent and
horrible way to put it.
I hate that my notes say that, but my notes say it, so I must read it that way. The notes make the rules
The
here.
notes
I
do
do
not
not.
lie. Ah, yes, the
The
notes are
notes
in
do not
control.
lie.
I don't want to watch it again. I'm just gonna.
Yeah,
I know what's
it's
happening. We can
bad.
pause and move on.
Well,
This was foreshadowed
we'll
though in
just
season one, I feel.
briefly.
So
It was foreshadowed, and also Alicent says a lot of the same things that Damon's mom says when he has the weird incestuous dream about her in last season. So it is very clearly a parallel between Aemon and Damon here. And for those of you who haven't seen the scene and are just following along with the podcast here, Alicent is convincing Aemon to fly to Harrenhal. And this part is like partly, I think, because she is trying to keep her promise to Rhaenyra that he won't be here when she comes. But partly, I think she might actually be trying to save his life.
see,
Even
I
though he's
thought so too,
terrible, and even
but I feel like she wouldn't have made this deal in the first place if she had like any like hope of trying
I,
to save him. And now she's like, you need to get the fuck out of here before company arrives. Like,
yeah. Well, I think she's trying to have her cake and eat it too. She's a like as much as she is trying to do the right thing here, she is still a schemer. And I think that she is trying to have her cake and eat it too. I think that she is hoping that he will fly away and just leave, but his pride and arrogance is not going to let him just leave. So I think that he is going to spoil her plots in that way. And that they are having this kind of heated conversation, and your boy thinking that he is reading into his Targaryenness a little bit too much. He decides to kiss his mom on the mouth. Disgusting. And it's
she
not
looks
like just a little
visibly
like
like uncomfortable, but
she
also not like. But that's why I thought maybe she like is not trying to save him. She's trying to like make sure her plan goes through because she's like, I gotta play this out. I
yeah,
gotta keep it
yeah.
going.
I gotta make sure this is yeah.
Mm.
And yeah, and he is definitely like on a trip, like a power trip of his own, because he it just goes for it. And oh man, I just her acting in this scene is incredible. His acting is honestly incredible too. The fact that he can portray this in such a way and make it feel serious, but the fact that she is able to play off of that too and make it seem so like she is they're physically revolted by this whole situation. And then we cut back to the boys' trip after I'm just scrolling through like the scenes, and like one of them is
Oh,
like
this is
her
this
face
scene right
when
here I
she's
thought
doing
was so funny. He's just like, "Who are you?" She's like, "I'm a witch." And I'm like, if that
I'm a
soundbite
witch.
doesn't go hard on TikTok, like
It is going to go triple platinum on TikTok. Who are you? I'm a witch.
I laughed so hard. Who are
Well,
you?
and
I'm a witch.
last season she said that she was a barn owl in human form, so you know who knows. There's the antler man. He's actually in
Yeah.
this scene, not in the last scene, so sorry about that. We also get another
I thought I
vision
had
of
missed something because I was like, I remember Antler Man. I didn't like I was hallucinating. I like went back and I was like, did I really see what I saw?
All right, so Anna is gone for just a minute, but I'm going to keep going with the synopsis. So, the boys on their camping trip, they run into Alice Rivers and also Del the Goat. So, shout out for Del the Goat. He's super cool. He's allegedly a demon. They have said that in the production of the show that he is some sort of demon goat. And then we cut back to Dragonstone, and Baela Targaryen comes in, and she announces to the council that the Triarchy are coming to attack the Valerian fleet, and Her Majesty herself comes in, and Anna is back. The Queen is back, and where was I at?
We're
Rhaenyra
back with the Queen.
says yes. Rhaenyra says, okay, well, I'm gonna go and burn those ships because
Bring me my flight leathers.
bring me my flight leathers. And we cut to a little bit of the battle. The battle is looking sweet, and Shirako Loha says, hey, we're gonna go burn down High Tide because surely if we do that, then your boy Corlys is going to be distracted and won't be able to lead his army super well. So we cut there, and then sorry, but before that, I skipped over a piece because I was scrolling too fast. But Jace and Rhaenyra are arguing, and Jace is saying, "Hey, you cannot go to battle. Like, you are the queen, and if you get killed," and she cuts him off, she's like, "then you'll finally be king, and you won't have to listen to me anymore."
Then close the door.
Yeah, and so she goes in to get dressed, and Jace is able to convince Rhaenyra's Queen's Guard to lock her in her room to stop her from flying off into battle, and he convinces Baela to fly off to battle with him. So they are going to go fight the battle because all of last season, he wanted to act. He wanted to go and fight. He wanted to go burn the greens. He wanted to go do things. And Rhaenyra told him no repeatedly. And she didn't listen to his counsel. And she didn't listen to what he wanted. And so right here, we are seeing the consequence of that. He is taking action into his own hands and being decisive. And because all last season, Rhaenyra was indecisive. She pondered her actions. She was thoughtful about everything. And here, Jace is taking action into his own hands, and he is going out and doing it. And a part of this that I really don't like is the fact that her Queen's Guard lets this happen. And it makes sense from a misogyny reason because this whole show is about gender. And he is probably more willing to take orders from a man,
I was
Jacerys, than
literally
the
thinking this
queen.
never would have happened if a king had
If
decided to
if
go into battle, because it
if a
never
king had,
did.
because it never did. No one would have told Aegon or Aegon or Meleys or any of those other male kings or Jacaerys or not Jacaerys or not Jacaerys, Jaehaerys that they couldn't have gone into battle because they would have like
They
it would
literally
have been
wouldn't have conquered the Seven Kingdoms. They like
yeah, yeah. So Rhaenyra afterwards goes in and destroys her dress, which I think is really cool. It's very visual
very symbolic of like her
symbol.
kind of repelling that position of being queen because
Yes.
of that responsibility between
Yeah.
like, being the figurehead and like being the person that's calling the shots that people are dying for and not being able to like at least it's one thing to call the shots, it's another thing to like what is it that Ned Stark said something about like holding the axe when you
Yeah,
chop someone's head off or something like that. That
the one
sentiment.
who the one
The
who
one who
serves the sentence should
must
swing the
swing the
sword.
sword.
Yeah.
Yes.
It's a very Ned Stark sort of attitude that she is wanting to embody. And she also says, I never wanted to be protected. That is one thing. I never asked to be protected. And because that's what Jace is doing. He is trying to protect her, but she never asked for that. So that's a whole cool thing. We cut
Now this
to
this is another thing I was confused about because it's like, does the Dragonstone have no servants' quarters? Like, was there really only one way in and one way out of this room? Because that just seems weird for like royalty to not have like those doors that like servants come in and out of. And I was like, what is happening right now?
well, and that is kind of a Red Keep thing because the Red
Is
Keep
it okay?
had a lot of like secret passages. It has a bunch of secret passages, and so the staff use that a lot when they are at the Red Keep. But
Oh, but I mean
for
in general, like a servant's access,
it,
they usually have like one. So I
you
don't
would
know
think that
if it
too.
was just for Dragonstone, there was like none and it was like part of the design. But I was just like, I don't know if this is like a plot hole that they're just not going to address or if it
Yeah.
really is truly the design of this building.
Well, and it might be part of the design of that building, or maybe she moved into different quarters after last season when she faced an assassination attempt. She moved
Oh,
into
true,
quarters
true.
that only have one entrance and one exit so that it's more defensible.
That might make sense.
I do want to
Or
talk
it's a plot
about
hole.
the battle for a little bit, or it's a plot hole. But I choose to believe the best in these shows, and I think
The
that it's
next battle
cool.
is sweet. This is awesome.
the The battle is so cool. It's like you can't always tell exactly what's happening, but you normally have a pretty good idea of, okay, who's where, who's on what ship, because the sails are like, they do a good job of indicating whose ships are what and what's going
They're
on
differently
by the
shaped
sails.
too.
Yes, they're different kinds of shapes. The
Even their garb is very different, which I guess you can tell because she made the comment about the, armor being heavy, and none of
Yeah,
them are wearing anything remotely that would like drag them down. So they're definitely
exactly.
seafaring folk.
Yeah. And they also have fought dragons before because they fought in the Stepstones. And so this time they brought scorpions with them. And these
Like
scorpions
the
are specially
OG
designed.
prototype.
Yeah, the OG scorpions.
Because they
And
even
these
said that he
scorpions,
found the plan somewhere, either in the Citadel or somewhere in the old records or something, and that's how they
yeah,
reproduced
that's
it.
well, and that's kind of nonsense because scorpions have been a thing since the time of
Okay.
Aegon the Conqueror, because that's how one of his sister wives died. Was they it was Dorne shot down his sister wife when she was trying to conquer Dorne. So scorpions have been around for a while, but he was just claiming that he discovered it to look cool in front of his boss. I get him, I
Ah,
really do. Yeah. So these scorpions are specially designed for water dragon fighting, in that they have these weights that get released when they get shot, and they're designed to drag the dragon down into the water and make them easier to hunt. And as Jace and Reyna are flying out, they immediately turn the tide of battle. They push the battle firmly in the Valerian direction, but then a scorpion comes out and it latches on to the harness of Vermax, Jace's dragon. But luckily, Bela is able to fly down, and
last second she was like, cut the
last
line.
last second she cut the line to the anchor, so he was able to fly free and keep wreaking havoc. And then lo and behold, your girl shows up on Sheep Stealer.
Oopsie.
Sees she sees the fire in the distance, and she says, oh, man, I've got to go help. So she takes this wild dragon into battle and looses chaos onto the whole situation. So there's this really cool action scene where Corlys is weaving his ship in this
Yes,
really
this
tight
next scene
passage.
is probably one of my favorite from the whole episode, only because it really reminds me of I don't know if you ever saw the movie 300, like the second one,
Yep, yep,
but the battle where they lured the them into the
yeah,
bay and then crushed them. This was like that was one of those stories that my dad told me like as a bedtime story.
yeah.
So watching this, I was like, so yeah, this was very, very cool. And I also remember them talking about this battle in Game of Thrones at some point too. Like they referenced this.
Yeah. They talk about the gullet. They talk about the Battle of the Gullet when they're doing the Battle of the Blackwater.
Yeah, when
They
he
talk about
brings up
that.
the chain
The
in the bay.
chain.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So that this is a whole thing, and we could go into it for a while. But basically, the result of this is that Sir Tyland is knocked over into the drink, despite his wishes not to be knocked into the drink, because they need to lose a bunch of weight. So they throw a bunch of stuff overboard, including all of the Lannister men in their heavy armor, and they are able to pass over the teeth because their ships get caught on
Well, I think only the one ship survived of
yeah,
the three or
just
four that went through. It was
just
just her
Shirako's
ship.
ship gets through, and
Yeah.
Corlys is able to get through unscathed. So he is able to get through unscathed, but she is fast on his heels, and he basically loses focus because he sees that his castle is burning like they planned, and so Alan of Hull has to come and take charge of the crew, get the ship turned around, but they still get broadsided by Shirako's ship, and big battle commences. There's a bunch of fighting. The end of that battle, I'm just going to skip ahead. The end of that battle is Alan of Hull is able to eventually, like, he's the last one standing on the whole ship, and he is able to take down Shirako finally. But Corlys is last seen going underwater in his armor. So
In his armor,
his
yeah.
his
The
fate
armor
is,
really did everybody in.
it really did everyone in, and that's a real thing in like historical naval battles. Is they didn't wear, like, lots of people did not wear armor because they were worried about getting drugged down by it. It was a
Foiled
real
leather probably is much more floaty.
exactly. And
Keep you
so
from
Sheep
getting nicked,
Stealer,
but
yeah,
a sheep stealer.
Sheep Stealer is
Rogue little
causing
man.
all sorts of trouble for everyone. he starts off and doing a good job. He starts off burning some Triarchy ships,
He did
but
good,
then
and then
and then he got a little bit mad. He got
he got carried
shot with some
away. He was like, "That
fire.
was fun. Let's do more."
Yeah. So he got shot with some fire, and he gets mad and starts burning everyone's ships,
Everybody.
including the other Valerian ships. And then he eventually starts trying to attack
The other two,
the other two
Bela's and Jace's
and
dragons.
yeah, and part of it is that Jace, or that Bela, sees him like inopportunely at a moment when he is burning a Valerian ship. So she goes and tries to intercept, and then she eventually realizes, oh no, that's my
They're
sister
all
on that
realizing at the
dragon.
same
Yeah,
time that they're,
that
yeah.
so so these two dragons are able to skirt around Sheep Stealer, and they're flying around and doing things, but Sheep Stealer is down close to the action, and when Jace comes down to confront Sheep Stealer, his dragon is actually hit by one of the scorpions and drug down into the water. And this time, Bela does not get there in time to save Vermax, and he is drugged down into the water. Jace unhooks his safety cord,
So mad.
swims up to the surface, finds a piece of driftwood, and is immediately shot by
Ugh,
3 arrows.
deserved what he got.
Prince Jacaerys Velaryon dies out at sea, and we go to credits from there.
So
This is
bothered by that scene.
this battle. I'm just like watching the last scene of it. The
Mm.
ships are burning. The sun is setting. You can see the castles in the background. This is beautiful. Like, this is cinema, but it is also
Well, it's like that whole thing
destruction
about
and
you don't
death.
want what is your sun gonna what your the sun setting on a kingdom that's just like burning and turned to ash. So I thought it was very
Burning.
symbolic of that whole like
For
literally
sure.
everybody ended up real horrible at the
Well, and it's also illustrating, yet, like, even when, like, these drag, like, even in the books, no, I'm not gonna, that's a spoiler, never mind. It's that whole thing that Rhaenyra talks about. When dragons go to war, everyone dies. And
Yes.
this is a good illustration of that like, even though it's pretty unclear who won this fight, but neither side is looking good, and both sides faced immense losses because Shiraka is gone, the Triarchy lost a bunch of ships and everything. It's not a good scene for everyone. No one knows if Corlys is even alive. It's not good.
The
So
thing I find so ironic is that Jace's whole thing was that he felt like his identity as a Targaryen was being threatened by these bastards being given dragons. So like in his mind, he's like, I have to do something to like set myself apart and really show that I am a Targaryen. And then what does he do? He goes into battle, he gets his dragon killed in the worst way possible. Like in
yeah,
my opinion, you had so much time to unhook your little safety thing. You could have jumped in the water. You could have cut
cut the
the line.
line.
He just
Yeah,
cuts himself and swims to the. I was screaming, "You go back down there and cut the." You're
yeah.
telling me a dragon can't hold its breath for 30 seconds while you swim
Well,
down a little? Like that
well,
bothered me so
that
much. And then
that
he comes
also
up and
bothered
gets
me
shot
too.
instantly. So I was
Yeah,
like, clearly you didn't deserve that dragon because
no.
you got the most like unheroic death of like anybody
Yeah.
so far.
Well, and like, his dragon also got shot by the ballista too. So
Daenerys would
I
have
know,
never.
I know. She would have gone down with her
Those were her
dragon.
children. And that was the
Yeah,
thing too. I feel like he was like for in my opinion, anytime, like I'm sorry, what's his name in Neverending Story tried harder to get his horse out of the bog of sadness or whatever than he did for his dragon. He's like, "Oh, you got
yeah,
shot. I guess I'm gonna swim to safety."
yeah. Well, and that's the thing. Someone was talking about this the other day, and I really like this point, that in the first few Avatar movies, they are very like spiritually connected to their Ekrons, and then in this last one, it really did feel like they're like, oh, well, there goes one Akron. I guess it's fine. I'll go get another one.
I thought that
Uh,
was supposed to illustrate like the depravity of like war and how as things escalate, your ability to like have these moralistic connections to things becomes like more and more and more frayed to the point where you
Probably.
can't make discernment like that anymore.
Yeah. That's probably a more analytical way to think about it, but I did think that it was just a funny thing that had
Yeah,
changed as well.
that too. I tend to overthink. I'm easily confused and also overthinking all the time. So those two things working against each other is just, it's a party,
That's
you
fair.
know?
That's fair. Do you have any more thoughts on this episode, Anna? That is kind of the end of my spiel on it.
I really loved Corliss and his bastard son, and how basically there was, I don't want to say it was only three, but there's three distinct moments that I can remember where Corliss hesitated and he had to like step in and like do the thing. And then all of that resulting in them winning the battle. And I feel like that was also really cool because literally the conversation they had had before was like, you could recognize me as your son. I could like be your heir. And he was like, actually, no, I'm not going to do that. Nothing at all. And then this guy comes and basically does Corliss's job because Corliss, sees what's happening on what's
On
it
high
called? Not
tide.
Harrenhal. High Tide. He sees, what's happening there and he just kind of like breaks down and
Yeah.
stops functioning. And then he has to, step in and basically, take over for dear old dad who won't even recognize him as his
Exactly.
son. And I just thought that was really cool because it was like three distinct moments that he hesitated
Yeah.
and then he stepped in and then him to be the one to actually like end what's her name with her little blood feud.
Yeah.
That was
Shirako
equally,
Logoth.
yes, Shirako,
And
equally
then
cool. So I'm hoping that there's like what's it called? Opportunities in his future because he deserves it for sure after that.
I guess we shall see. This episode looked great. It looked really good. Like it was a beautiful like cinematic masterpiece. It was very like it's still not as colorful as it should be, but it still looked really good. But again, beggars can't be choosers. It was good. There are a lot of interesting character threads. There is one thing that I think that I can talk about now finally, and that is the fact that in the books they have a character named Nettles, and she's the one
Okay.
who claims sheep stealer, and she is not being included in the show. And a lot of people are
Hmm.
upset about that. That they're basically combining her and Raina's stories together. So
Gotcha.
it's an interesting little thing there, but and a lot of people are really upset because her story has this sort of connotations with other people's stories further down the line, but I think they're just gonna do it with Raina instead because Raina doesn't really do that much for the rest of the book. So I think that it's more interesting to do that with her anyway. But it is a change for the books, and
That
there are a
makes sense.
lot of change. Like that, this is the least faithful that the show has gotten so far to stuff. Like
Now, is this
there are
based off
things
a
that are
series or just one book?
just one book.
Okay, so it is finished. I don't have to like read it and get disappointed halfway through when I realize the show's gonna like go off course and
Yeah,
make shit up at the end. Well,
yeah.
not make shit up, but you know what I mean.
Yeah, I know what you mean. So this book is finished, but I guess technically it is part of a series, but it's just a history book. So he hasn't written all the history yet because it contains like part of it contains spoilers for A Song of Spring and The Winds of Winter and stuff. So he hasn't
I
released
love
those
your
ones yet because
optimism.
he hasn't released The Winds of Winter. I'm an optimist about it. I don't think that he's gonna release them when he's alive. That's
That
my
would
whole
be
thing.
epic. I mean, no, not like epic that, you know what I mean? Like that would be a really good way to go out, is what I meant.
Yes,
Like, haha, I did it, you bastards. You thought, yeah, I did it. You doubted me this whole time. I
that's my
want to be proved
optimistic
wrong,
hope.
proven
That
wrong.
that's my optimistic hope is that when he passes, he like he's sick of hearing the criticism and the feedback and everything. He's already finished all the books, and they're just going to be released when he passes. Like that's going to be part of his will. But
It's like the
I don't
exact
think that's
opposite
gonna.
of what Brandon Sanderson does, where like he just releases like secret books that he never told anybody about.
Yes, exactly. Yeah,
I fear he has like a vault somewhere that will also be released at like the end of his timeline too, and we're gonna be like, oh, well, I may not be around to see it, but who knows?
yeah. That the Cosmere we'll all be 77. The Cosmere will have finally ended, and
We're gonna find out there's like a countdown for something like a decade from like his day of death or whatever. Like
yeah.
you have to live 10 more years to find out what happens. Nobody else will
Well,
know.
and you have to go on like a real life adventure to get it. Like you have to go on it. It's like one of those things
It's like the
where
One Piece.
yeah, basically, or like where a billionaire like leaves a bunch of their money and like they set out like clues and stuff to find it, and that if I were rich, I would be doing that sort of stuff all the time.
Just
Like
like
I would
scavenger hunts all the time. Like here's the
scavenger
secret, go
hunts
find it.
all the time. I'd be doing scavenger like I would. Man, I really would be like Mr. Beast, except I would try and do nicer things than Mr. Beast does.
Don't do everything that man did.
No, no, but I try and do like the fun competitions and the cool stuff like that because I think that would be cool. But I digress. And any other last thoughts on the show? I thought that it was a really good first episode. I think that it. I'm still very very excited for the rest of the season. We've got 7 more weeks of House of the Dragon, and I'm very excited for the next episode.
I'm very excited. Like I said, the last time we talked about the end of season 2, I was like, I think we're gonna get thrown into the middle of chaos. And like
We
the
did.
fact that all of that happened and it was only episode 1, I was just like the whole time. And like the fact that we don't even know what happened with
Corliss,
Aegon and not Corliss,
Thailand,
like the Thailand, no, the cripple with the foot fetish.
Aegon, Laris.
Yeah, and Laris, that's his name. So like we don't even know what happened there. So like that's like a big like everybody else we kind of know what's going on, but that's like the big like opening question. Like we don't know
Yeah.
what happened at all yet.
Yeah, well, we shall see. They were taken off to go to port, go to Dragonstone. But we'll see where we see them next and what happens next. But we have one last thing for you guys. We have a ranking of our top 5 battles in fantasy and sci-fi, and I think that we should just go down the list. I will let you start, Anna, if you want to start with your number 5.
Is this like ranked from like 5 to 1 or just like 5 that I
Five,
can think of? 'Cause
five. Let's go ranked 5 to 1.
okay. All right. So then I would say the Battle of Hogwarts is probably going to be number 5. I definitely loved reading that whole scene. And also I think the movie did a really good job of portraying it.
Yeah, I love the Battle of Hogwarts. It's an honorable mention for me. It is such a cool battle. They do some stuff differently in the movie to the books. Like I wish that we saw Fenrir Greyback in the movie and a few things like that. But it is such a good battle. At number 5 for me is going to be the Battle of the Blackwater, especially as it's portrayed in the books. I think that the strategy, the strategic planning displayed by Tyrion and them there is excellent. And the fact that it is like George R. Martin's battles are so realistic. They are very well
Yes.
thought out and planned. And even though they use this excellent strategy, they still almost lose that battle. They still almost get defeated. If it wasn't for the forces from Highgarden, they would have lost that battle. So I think that that is a really good battle. So on to your number 4, Anna.
Number 4, I'm gonna say it would be like the last battle from the Pokemon movie where all of the Pokemon are fighting their clones, like at the
Okay.
very end. I just loved how it ended because like at the end they realized they shouldn't be fighting, and I was like, that's honestly like the message that we should be taking away from this is that like how you come about, like your origin doesn't define you, and that we shouldn't be judging people. And I was like, that literally would end all wars if everybody could figure that out. So I liked seeing a battle that was so emotional, especially for like I don't know, was 9 years old watching this, like crying my eyes out, watching all of the like Pikachu getting slapped by the other one because he didn't want to fight him. And I was just like, oh, Pikachu, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's definitely my number 4.
All right. I love it. For my number 4, let's see. What do I want to go with?
So many good options.
I know there are so many good options. I am going to go with the Siege of Helm's Deep. I
Are
think
we
that
supposed to be
this
doing
is
Game of
one of.
Thrones specific? I'm so sorry.
What's that?
Were we supposed to be doing Game of Thrones specific?
No.
Okay, you're just 2 for 2 then. Okay.
I said the battle or the Siege of Helm's Deep.
Is that not Game of Thrones?
Did my internet cut out?
I don't know.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
I can hear you.
Okay. I said the Battle of Helm's Deep.
Can you hear me?
That is Lord of the Rings. Yes, I can
Sorry.
hear you. Can you hear me? No.
I can hear you
No,
now.
that's all right.
Oh no.
Okay. Yeah. Oh, I hate my
That's
internet.
my
I'm
bad.
so excited to. No, I'm so excited to be moved and have good internet. I have way better internet at my new house. So excited for that. But the Battle of Helm's Deep is one of the best portrayed battles and one of the best portrayed sieges in fantasy. There are so many elements that make it just absolutely great. The glimmer of hope, the fact that everyone faces their despair and their thoughts that they are going to not win this battle, and then it just absolutely rocks up and is awesome. I love the Battle of Helm's Deep, especially how it's portrayed in the movies. So
That is a good one. I didn't
what's
hear it
your
first, and I forgot where Helm's Deep was for a second. I was like, but all right. So I would say number 3, and I don't know if this is considered a battle, But the opening to Way of Kings, where
Yep.
Szeth's son Villano is about to go kill a king or whatever, and I remember like reading it and being like, people are on the ceiling, people are on the wall, what is happening? And it was like, it was so fast paced. I think I read it like three times, and it was just like this incredible introduction to the way the magic system in Stormlight was going to go. So I think that's why it was so impactful for me. But yeah, I just really like, because I feel like Sanderson's fighting is more like choreography versus strategy, if that makes sense.
For sure. It's less like there is definitely some
I mean, there is strategy involved, but like it's not like
there's
the way George R. Martin runs his battles like playing Age of Empires
yes.
versus Brandon Sanderson's battles are like playing Street Fighter or something, like it's
Yeah.
different.
Well, and it's I don't know what it's hard to describe. Like it's very that it's magic system centric. So like he is very focused on okay, how would this magic system work and
Right, because
how
there's no magical elements in many of like I mean there is, but not within the fighting, I feel like, for
yeah.
George anyway.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those things where he is very focused on he is very focused on the how the magic systems work. Like it's a lot more prevalent in like
It
Mistborn
has to make
too.
sense.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Um,
What is your number three? I think you're on three, yes.
I was just thinking about that. I am going to say the Battle of Yavin in Star Wars. It is one of the most impactful like battles in the galaxy. Their like time system is BBY because it is like before the Battle of Yavin or after the Battle of Yavin. It is just one of the most impactful parts of the galaxy. So I'm going to go with the Battle of Yavin. What is your number two, Anna?
Number two, I'm gonna say it's a cross between it's two battles, both of them being from the Wheel of Time, but not to spoil anything too badly, but there is a point in one of the battles where they actually get to call back heroes from like all the previous years of like the history of the Wheel of Time to like help fight in this particular battle. And it was just really cool. Even in the TV show, the way they portrayed that particular battle was really cool. And then the other one, also from Wheel of Time, but a couple of books later, was called the Battle of Dumai as well. And it was like the most amount of carnage I think I have ever read in a fantasy series ever, like meat grinder status. Like it was like a Mad Max thing. Like it's crazy. It was literally like people obliterating other people with their magic because the magic was so ferocious and so powerful. It was just ripping people apart and like evaporating them. I don't know.
Yeah,
Crazy. But yeah, very
it's it's
intense.
a it's crazy, man. What is my next one? I am going to go for my number two. I am going to go with the in Red Rising when that first Iron Rain when that Darrow calls the Reaper goes to Mars and he calls for an Iron Rain. And that is the first time that we see the level of devastation that an iron rain causes, and not just to the people who are getting fallen upon, but to the combatants themselves. It is crazy the amount of like carnage and stuff that you go through and that sort of thing. So the Iron Rain that Darrow calls is going to be my number two. Do you have any honorable mentions that didn't quite make your list?
I was actually gonna say again, it's like a spoiler, but whatever. The very last battle at the third Red Rising where they apprehend
Cassius, yeah.
Cassian, Cassius, apprehend him, and like you think that he's turned coat on them, like they trusted him, and then he betrayed them, but then you find out that that was all part of the plan, and then
Yeah.
what's his name, Goblin shows up. That whole entire thing. I remember I like threw the book across the room. I was so mad.
It's a whole thing. It's crazy. That
It
he
was
really throws you for a
emotionally
loop.
exhausting.
Yeah, it really is.
I was tired afterwards.
That one's one of my honorable mentions. The Battle of Palanor Fields was one of my honorable mentions. The Battle of the Labyrinth from Percy Jackson and the Olympians. The Battle of New York. That there are some great battles in there. The battle where they are fighting like there's so many Percy Jackson ones that I could name. as honorable mentions, but they didn't quite make the list because there are just so many good battles in Percy Jackson and the Olympians. There are a lot of good Star Wars battles that I'm not referencing. There are a lot of good battles in the Stormlight Archive, but I have one particular that I'm saving for my number one. What is your number one, Anna?
I was gonna say the last battle in from the Lord of the Rings where they all storm Mordor, especially
Yeah.
when they muster all of that like courage because they think that Frodo is dead or whatever,
Yep.
and everybody is just like, well, we're
Frodo.
gonna give it. Yes, I was just like, it was just amazing to see, especially at like scale, just like watching people swarm like that. Very, very cool.
Yeah.
But also, I will say, from like an animation standpoint, I really, really like the battle in Mulan. I remember a million
Yes.
years ago when that movie was like considered like the height of technology. I remember the way that they drew the troops was like the big thing that was like focused. Like I feel like every Disney movie has like one thing. Like with Finding Nemo, it was the water. With Brave, and it was like her hair. But like with Mulan, it was the way they moved those like thousands and thousands of troops across the scenery. And I just thought that was really cool too.
No, the Battle of Mulan is awesome too. It definitely deserves its mention. The number one spot on my list though has to go to the Battle of Thalen Field. The first time that we see a Thunderclast come out of the ground in this battle, you feel like, oh, so we're actually cooked. We are actually absolutely wrecked. We have no chance of winning this battle, but against all odds and through the power of courage and determination on Dalinar's part, through the power of the Radiant's abilities and their ability to fight through and against the odds, they are able to come out victorious here and strike a blow right at the heart of Odium. And this is just one of the coolest things. I mean, we get to see Nightblood in action, that like in a greater fashion than we've ever seen him in action before. And this
Battles get
plays
more and
like,
more intense as the books go on.
yeah, well, and this plays directly into the into basically the ending of the Stormlight
Yes,
Archives as we know them right
Wind
now.
and Truth
So
was
I think
very.
that's really cool. Wind and Truth was a lot.
The wind, I didn't even want to get into that because I feel like what Odium, but also what's his name?
Honor.
Not Telemachus. What's his name? The old guy. Can't
Taravangian.
think of it. Taravangian, yeah. Like what he did to Dalinar in that last battle. Like if you really want to talk about like what's like the most like devious thing in a battle, that putting poor Gavilar in that position,
Psychological.
I was
It's
so like, I
terrible.
can't believe this is happening.
And
This is not
the
happening.
fact
And
that he used like all of the moments, like the things that we saw and we were cheering for when we first saw them, when he was confronting his nephew in those scenes, and when he was doing all of that in the first books, we were cheering because we were on Dalinar's side in those first scenes. But then seeing it from a new perspective can paint anyone as the monster, and that is part of the point. That is a like, and the fact that and I know that we're getting into a Stormlight discussion, but the fact that we end
always
with
worth.
like, it's not a huge battle, it's not a huge like crazy action scene that we end with. It is a
But
very
it's so intense, and
psychological.
that's what do they call that? It's a juxtaposition, and like you have
Yes.
this thing that is so emotionally huge and devastating and like really deep, but it's like a proper duel. Like the energy around it, there was no big bravado or anything, but there's so many different like facets of like who was traumatized by this because Dalinar was traumatized, but from it, but also Gavilar, because one, it kind of shows how adult rage and adult anger can seem to a child and how that can create trauma. And then also how that trauma literally robbed him of his entire childhood
Of
because
his
Gav was
entire
like
childhood.
four,
Yeah.
maybe five. I still hold my 4 or 5 year old
Yeah.
like a little baby still. And then to literally be taken from that and then to be told actually these people are horrible. Like I just can't imagine. It's
Oh,
poor Gav. He did not deserve, and that's the thing. He didn't deserve it, and I think that's the worst part. Because like of everybody in that group of characters to be so kind and so pure, little Gav with his little like sweet little self. It's just as a
it's
mom, it just made me extra sad.
I definitely get it. That part is tragic. Do have to wrap up the podcast here, though. Thank you so much for listening. Uh, Anna, plug your pluggables quick.
Yes, as always, I'm at Nerdy Mamas on Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, and Pinterest. Email, all of the fun things. So if you want to check me out, check me out.
Check out Anna. Her cloth diapers are superb and nerdy, and she also has cool diaper bags and cloths and correct laundry opinions. My name is Casey. This has been the Oracle Podcast. Please be sure to check us out on Instagram, on YouTube, on Spotify, on everywhere else pods are cast, on TikTok, and everywhere else at the Oracle Podcast. Thank you so much for listening. My name is Casey. I have been your Oracle, and this has been your prophecy.